I'm ready to roll.
Okay, I figured as much. It's so good to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out. Your background, your story is wonderful. I'm looking forward to getting into it.
Okay, I'm ready as well.
Okay, so let's begin our journey into your work by asking you this. 5 years ago, this pandemic was changing so many things about our lives. How did you get through that era, and how has it influenced the way that you live and work in 2025?
Okay, so the pandemic changed so many lives by, well, I should ask you this question first. You talking about me personally or just in general?
Just probably in general, but I mean, it's going to affect
Okay.
you, but it's more about kind of your approach to reality after that.
Okay, so the pandemic required families to come back together.
Yeah,
You had husband and wife, they really didn't know one another. They know their children because we live in a world where everything is moving so fast. And it's phone and less connection with people.
yeah,
So the pandemic forced us to come to bond with family. That's the most important thing. We
yeah.
had to bond with family. So where are we today after the pandemic? We're more, I believe we're more aware of what has taken place in terms of the bonding. I mean, we have bonded as the people. We're more supportive, a little bit more courteous, and a lot more patient.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get into the marrow of what you do on a daily basis. And I'm going to do it by putting you in front of a bunch of 12-year-old kids. It's career day, you're at a school, and the kid in the back of the room is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" What's your answer?
Well, what I am retired after 47 years of working, 40 of those years leading organizations. I decided to retire November of 2024.
Okay.
However, I didn't retire 100% because my passion is teaching. And so I've been teaching in higher ed for about 20 years. My classes are not at a college campus. My classes is at a California state prison. I do that 2 days a week. This term I'm teaching managing diversity in the workplace, and I have about 60 incarcerated men as my students that have completed their GED while being incarcerated. Now they're interested in obtaining their associate's degree. And then if they continue to be successful, they'll move on to the bachelor's and the master's program, all while they're incarcerated.
So you also do coaching, correct?
I do. I'm also a certified life coach and I have a consulting firm. So my clients are women over 40 that are trying to climb the government or the corporate ladder. They're married with children. Their in-laws or parents are living with them. You know, you have aged parents. You've got the dog and the cat. Kids have after-school programs and sports, and your home life is a little dysfunctional. So I help those women to sort their life out because we can't do it all. We need a team of people to help us to run a great household, just as well as in the workplace. When you're leading an organization, you have people to do the work. Well, you have a household of people, and everyone should contribute to the household, chores, whatever that may be. So I help women to organize their personal lives.
So take me back to when you were 12 years old. What did you want to be when you grew up? What was your dream job?
I wanted to be a runway model.
Okay. Did you do any modeling?
I did for a little bit of time, but you know what? That was not God's plan for me.
Yeah.
The entertainment world, you have to be a certain type of person to survive in that environment.
Yeah.
I'm too much of a nurturer. I have too much heart.
Yeah.
That wasn't for me, but I wanted that entertainment life. But thank God that That didn't happen. That
Yeah.
I was just placed, I was placed exactly where I was supposed to be.
Are you originally from California?
I am born and raised in San Francisco.
Okay, so take me back to your childhood. You have an enormous heart, an enormous capacity for all of these different things that you're doing in your life. How did these building blocks get etched and evolve into who you are today?
I contribute that to my parents. My mom and dad met in San Francisco. Dad was in the military. Mom came from Texas. That's how they met. And then I think my parents were ahead of their time because it was important to them that their children grow up in an environment where it was diverse. So in the environment that I grew up in, there were very few people that looked like me, which gave me an advantage in the world because I was able to interact with different cultures, people. And I was able to my circle was my best friend Mary was from San Salvador, and then there was Lena that was from Malta, and there was me. It was great.
Yeah.
So understanding people is has always been something that has been close to me. I don't judge people because you're incarcerated. And that could come from the fact that my mother worked for the Catholic Church. I grew up Catholic. And maybe because this is what I saw with the nuns, that they were very passionate about people. And it wasn't necessarily where they come from or what crime they committed. It's that everyone needs love and everyone needs nourishment. We all need that.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of helped shape me to being the person that I am today.
And in these different capacities of what you do, you have to maintain a daily vigor and a daily strength. Who has been that inspirational force in your life that's allowed you to not only become who you are today, but to segue and know not to get into entertainment and to get into a service of others?
You mean a person,
Yeah,
situation?
yeah, a person, a figure, anybody that was in your life that kind of gave you that example or inspired you to become who you are.
You know what? When I think back, I think back to Sister Teresa. She said to me one day, she says, "You're not Liz, you're Elizabeth." And I had to be like 13 or 14. And I took pride in that because to me that meant, oh, I'm a big girl now, Elizabeth. I had another instructor, Mrs. Schultz. And I used to see Mrs. Schultz many years after I had graduated from high school. So I would see her in the mall, and she would always say, "You were beautiful then, and you're beautiful today." Um, but there were just women, my mother's girlfriends. My mother had five girlfriends, and those women nourished me as well. So I've been nourished all my life around these positive figures. No one's perfect, but these positive figures that's helped to transform me throughout my journey in life.
So, being in a situation where you're around people that have been incarcerated, they obviously come from troubled pasts. So, I'm curious if you had the opportunity to travel back in time and talk to anybody in your family that you never met. Maybe you heard of them. There's all these generational things that get passed down without us really understanding. Is there someone in your lineage that you would love to have spent some time with and got to know?
Oh yeah, my grandparents.
Yeah,
Because I grew up on the West Coast, my grandparents were in Alabama. Because of how the South was, because I grew up in the 60s, 70s, how the South was. My mother specifically did not want her children down south. So I never got to travel to the South. I did go in my 20s, but I didn't get a chance to have that relationship with my grandparents because my grandparents, they have the history
yeah.
of the family. I mean, I got the history of the family later, but I would have loved to be able to sit down and pick their brain and have that conversation with my grandparents.
So,
Yes,
yeah. So, how do you, in these capacities of teaching and being in intense places and swimming through people's lives, how do you protect yourself, deliver a quality product, and then protect your soul and stay healthy and mentally aware?
that's a great question. If I'm not 100%, I do not enter into the institution.
Yeah,
Mentally,
yeah,
I have to be 100%. I have to pay attention to everything that's going on. And if I'm not 100% inside of my soul, or if I'm feeling a little anxiety, I don't teach that day. I just call out. Because if there's note passing in the classroom, try my best to to use humor when I see that there's a challenge in the classroom, such as notes and note passing in the classroom, and I'll say, "Hey, I want to be a part of that note passing party," something to that effect, because I don't. A lot of times these students are on meds, and I don't know if this particular day are they on meds or not.
yeah, yeah.
So I got to pay attention to that. Um, Sometimes I don't like them in the hallway. I want them in the classroom because I can see what they're doing in the classroom. And the other part to that is I'm just blunt. I just tell them if I don't like something, I don't like it. And I let them know if it continues, whatever it is, I said I'll end class. So being direct but loving at the same time, but also my safety comes first.
So at the end of the day, how do you disarm them? How do you go in when you're 100%? Because there's a pecking order, I'm sure, that they're used to in the system that they're in, and they're going to completely pick you apart the minute you walk in that room. How do you disarm them to get them to a point where they understand why you're there and they're going to have a level of respect for you no matter what?
That's called the first day of class.
Yeah,
It's called classroom management. Okay, so this is who I am. I go through the list, what you can and can't do in my class. I mean, I'm teaching managing diversity in the workplace.
yeah.
That's a tough subject because we're talking about slavery. We're talking about Jim Crow, civil rights, all of these things. And I've got a classroom, not just all African American males, but I've got Hispanic and Asians and whites. That's a tough subject. So I let them know that if someone says something that you do not agree with, it's okay to disagree. But at the end of the day, we have to respect one another. I don't tolerate bad behavior in my classroom because I will ask you to leave. And if I ask you to leave, that means I have to write a report of why I asked you to leave. And I don't like writing reports. So that means I probably will not have you back in my classroom. I don't like writing reports. That just takes up too much of my time.
Yeah.
So it's actually like being straightforward with these individuals, letting them know what the law is. And then towards the end of the first day, then I says, okay, now I want to know what your expectations are of this class. And then they give me what their expectations are. So it's a mutual relationship.
Yeah.
I try to make it a mutual relationship so that they feel good about being in the classroom, wanting to come, and then I feel safe.
It's very clear that there's a level of hope and optimism that runs in what you do. You have to have that. And we're living in a time right now that's not okay. What's coming from the top down's bad. It's bad for everybody. How do you maintain and and infuse light into these young minds that are being addled by such a bad bad system that we're in right now?
Well, first of all, is being honest.
Yeah.
I am the closest thing to the world, to them, because I'm just honest.
Yeah.
They're able to ask me questions about what's going on in the world, and we can have a conversation about that. Sometimes we do get off topic, but it's important for me that they know the truth about whatever's going on in the world. I took a chance on Tuesday night and I showed a documentary about, it's called The 13th, and it was on Netflix in 2020. And what it does, it takes you through history from slavery, like the Jim Crow, civil rights, but it also talks about the correctional system and how private organizations owns and provide supplies to correctional systems. There are companies that support these organizations. There are, our political system supports these organizations that supports the correctional system. So I said, well, I'm going to take a chance and I'm just going to show it and keeping my fingers crossed that no one's feelings are hurt by this information. The other part about that video, the three strikes law and why it was implemented, they needed to see this. And at the end, we had the conversation. Um, I said, so now some of you understand why you're here. A couple of them said, hey, I committed that crime and I deserve to be here. And others said, I don't deserve to be here. Three strikes law. So the point I'm trying to make is that for them, I need for them to see the truth. And with that truth, when you're having a conversation with your sons and your nephews and young men that's coming into the system, this is information that you can help them to understand what is going on in our system. Once we know what's going on in the system, then we as the people, we can do the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight and you ran into the 18-year-old version of you in your bedroom and you had a book in your hands and it was a coffee table book and you handed that to your confused younger self and said, this is how your life turned out,
Yeah, more than likely, yes. Yes.
would you give any advice?
Oh, absolutely. My advice that I would give is to be wholesome to yourself. Make sure you get your education. Make sure that, you save your money. Just the basic thing. More importantly, make sure that you're happy. Make sure that you surround yourself around great people. Because if I'm the smartest person in the room, then that means I need to find new friends. Make sure you surround yourself with people that have a lot more knowledge than you, and material things is only there for 30 seconds. That's it. So life is not about material things. Life is about being wholesome to yourself.
So let's say you walked into a room of everybody that's known you professionally in your life, in your job, in your coaching, going into this prison system and teaching the young minds, and you walked up to a podium and you could tell them one fun story about you, maybe the first concert you went to, maybe a big risk that you took, traveling to somewhere spectacular, something that would humanize you to that group. What would be a fun story you would tell that room?
Man, that's a tough one there. That's
Digging
a
in.
tough
We're
question.
digging in.
I would tell them that some of the best adventures in life is when you travel.
Yeah.
The best adventures is traveling. And what comes to mind is the trip I took a few years ago to Costa Rica. So, also, when you decide to travel, make sure that you do your homework. Make sure you understand everything before you get to your destination. So I went to Costa Rica with 350 African American skiers. So it's the Black Ski Association. They do one non-ski event a year, which happened to be in Costa Rica. Well, if I had read the material, I would have known that it would take 4 hours from the airport to the resort, which some kind of way I didn't, I didn't get that information. So it's hot, it's tropical in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
So we have to take a bus to a boat to get to the resort. Once we get to the resort is outdoors. It's very tropical. It's beautiful, but those darn black monkeys with those yellow eyes and we didn't get along too well. Did not like that. The trip was beautiful. So, being the person that I am and having conversation with people, someone said, because I'm complaining about how long it took us to get to the resort. Someone says, "Hey, you could charter a plane and get to the airport in 15 minutes." I was like, "Charter a plane?" I said, "Well, how much is that?" They said $60 US dollars.
Wow.
I was excited. I could charter a plane and I could afford it. So I called my dad to, tell my dad. My dad said, he said nothing. He's like, okay, make sure you're safe, so on and so forth. So the cab drops us off at the runway. The runway was probably the size of my driveway. I was confused.
Oh.
I couldn't figure out where's the plane going to land.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm the only plane that's in my brain is a 747.
Yeah. Right.
This is not a 747.
No.
The plane only held like 5 people.
Wow.
I'm 5 feet 11. So I had to squat down
Yeah.
to get on the plane. The pilot and the co-pilot only spoke Spanish.
Wow.
And we have to go over water to get to the airport.
Oh no.
Only thing I could do is make the sign of the
Yep.
cross and just pray. Oh, so I say all that to say that when you travel, make sure you get all the information that you need. Because if I had known that that plane only carried 5 people, I would have just took the bus and the boat
Yeah.
back.
Uh-huh. That's it. During the pandemic, I decided to do a lot more interviews than I ever did before, and I have a jazz radio show. So I interviewed a musician from New York he was in the soup doing the thing, and he just got rid of everything and moved to Costa Rica. So I would play the interviews on my phone, and my stepdaughter was with me, and one of the guys went to Costa Rica and became a surfer. And to this day, she talks about hearing the ocean, and there was macaws in the background, and it was to this day just delights her to hear that. I mean, I can't imagine the amount of colors and the amount of vibrancy you would see in that environment.
Oh, it was beautiful. I mean, I forgot about the raccoons. Oh, and the raccoons at nighttime, and the black monkeys with the yellow eyes in the daytime. Colorful country. The food was great. The
Yeah,
music was wonderful. It was all inclusive resort, beautiful resort. But I tell you, again, you have to make sure you read all your information before you leave the country.
that's it. So I had a friend that went to India and there's monkeys everywhere, and they were like, you can't look them in the eye. Is that true? Yeah, because you'll be in
I
trouble.
didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of an eerie feeling for me. I
Yeah.
didn't particularly care for that too much,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
That's right. So let me ask you this. Of all of this that you've accomplished in your life, this journey professionally and personally, what are you ultimately the proudest of?
Oh, I'm most proud of my PhD.
Yeah.
It took me 9 years to complete that darn PhD. Um, I ran out of money because I was taking online courses, and it was for I think it was every 12 weeks, it was like $3,700. Eventually, I ran out of money and life changes, and they only give you 7 years to complete your PhD. So when I finally got to the seventh year, I'm in the dissertation, so they gave me an extension for 2 more years. So it took me 9 years to get that PhD, but I stuck with it because I had this great relationship with my father, and he would always just say, you just gotta keep doing it. Just keep doing
Yeah,
it, and you're gonna graduate." And I wanted that PhD before he passed away.
yeah.
Um, so he passed away a year and a half after I got my PhD. So yeah.
Wow. So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, all of your students, all of your clients, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I'm a drill sergeant. I'm a drill sergeant. I mean, Sagittarius, drill sergeant, A-type personality, Catholic.
Yeah,
Nice person. I just like things in order in my brain. Things around me needs to be in order.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and I don't do well around people that have no goals.
yeah,
I don't do well around people that are just sitting around and waiting for something to happen. Let's get up and make something happen.
yeah.
Um, I'm good energy, good vibe. I'm very protective of myself because of who I am as a person. But yeah, I'm a drill sergeant.
I love it. So you have a podcast, you got the coaching. If anybody wants to dive into that world, they have questions, they want to hire you, they want more, where do they go?
Well, just go to my website, www.signatureofexcellence. I'm sorry, www.signatureofexcellencelifecoach.com.
Okay.
Or if you just want to call or text me, 916-204-7278.
Wonderful. I will put all of this in the show notes. Elizabeth, this has been absolutely great. Thank you for your spirit. Thank you for your story. Have a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you so much. And my question to you